So, I'm a big fan of this article from Bobby Pinero at Equals. This was something that one of our customers shared with us as an example of content that they liked and wanted to emulate, and I think with good reason. So, things I like about it, it uses this concept which I think about as second order pain points. So, when you start blogging, the most immediate thing you can write about are the immediate problems that your product solves. That's a really good thing to do because obviously, if people are experiencing those things, you can solve them with your product. That's a great close feedback loop between content and sales. Now, for equals, they are a spreadsheet alternative, and that poses a few problems. A lot of the problems that manifest with spreadsheet use at a company when you want to consider an alternative like equals are quite nebulous. It's not so much an issue with the spreadsheet itself, it's stuff like not knowing where your crucial data is, having to manage loads of user permissions, having all of your company's information spread across loads of poorly managed spreadsheets. And that's quite hard to write about. That's quite a nebulous thing. And it's also not specific to the people that will actually buy and use and roll out this type of software, as the classic kind of buyers users distinction that lots of people struggle with. So instead of writing a bunch about why, equals is better than spreadsheets, they have zoomed out a level. They have gone back a level of abstraction and they've said, what are the bigger, meatier, more relevant problems to our target audience that are comorbid with spreadsheets? So at the same time that spreadsheets are failing, you'd want to adapt and adopt a solution like equals. What else is happening? And we will write about that. And that's where this topic of when to make your first finance hire comes in and is very interesting. Startups that are thinking about this and thinking, maybe we need to bring someone in to start managing finances in a dedicated way, that inflection point is a perfect time to adopt a solution like equals. So this is a very, very smart article right from the get-go. I love it. And obviously, I'll link to this and you can read through it in your own time. It's very short, it's very direct, and it's very pointed. And I think that is great. When you're trying to reach busy founders, actually writing long, laborious things sometimes is a little bit counterintuitive. It doesn't actually help the reader. And I use this as an example in a couple of the course modules because it illustrates a lot of good techniques. It does the steel manning thing very well right from the get-go. This is basically an argument in favor of their opinion about when you should hire. So to make that credible, they have shown the contrary opinions. They have steel manned the argument and thought, what is the reader likely to say in objection to this? And they have addressed it explicitly. So they say, you should only do this after you've raised your seed, wait until your key metrics are broken, all that kind of thing. So that's really, really good. They've surfaced those objections early and they've addressed them incredibly concretely. Awesome. And they've also done the kind of classic persuasive thing of thesis, antithesis, synthesis. They've introduced the status quo, like people assume you should hire the finance person in this situation. They've pointed out the issues with that, and they've then gone on to say, hey, here is our synthesis, here is our alternative viewpoint. Very convincing, very persuasive, excellent use of rhetoric in that case. In terms of things I don't like then, things that could be improved, despite being very short, they've still done the classic writery thing of backloading the takeaway. Like, I have to read all of this to work out when they should actually hire a first finance hire. Ideally, I would like that opinion right at the get-go. If we're writing for time-constrained people, we want to get our idea across as punchily and quickly as possible. Open with it. Bluff that idea right from the get-go. I think there's also an opportunity to be a little bit spicier as well. This is a good counterintuitive contrarian article, and they could lean into that a bit more. When to make your first finance hire is okay as far as titles go. It's utilitarian, but it does get the point across. There's an opportunity to maybe say, here's why most companies mess up their first finance hire, and to lean into the pain of that experience a little bit more and all the negative consequences of that, just to amp up the emotional stakes. Because this is also about decision making, I would love some kind of visual, like maybe a matrix, like a 2x2. Given your company, the problems you're experiencing at the different stages of growth, this is when you should and shouldn't hire a finance person. Maybe they could have like finance person, full-time finance person, or CFO, or like outsourced, or using spreadsheets as the different elements of that matrix. That would elevate this a little bit further, and it would also aid with social sharing, things that people can quickly visually latch onto. Yeah, it also does the classic thing of it looks a little bit rough and ready. They have actually redesigned their blog since I found this. It does look a bit more polished now, but I think it still keeps the slightly lo-fi aesthetic that you maybe want to cultivate with your thought leadership. So yeah, great example, good thought leadership article, stuff we could learn from this.